What prompted you to do a program like the Fat Flush?
Oh, that's a loaded question. I think
It is, isn't it?
the whole concept was written about in my first book, Beyond Pritikin, which came out in 1988. And it was initially one little chapter in the book called The 2-Week Fat Flush. I felt it was important for people to detoxify from all of the carbohydrates that they were eating at that time. Don't forget, this is during the 80s, you know, the heyday of the low-fat, high-complex carbohydrate diet. And I was finding that people were actually sensitive, not typically allergic where you get a histamine response, but they were becoming very sensitive to all the carbohydrates. And I was seeing way back then that the gluten-based carbs, that was prophetic, wasn't it? That the gluten-based carbs were those that people seemed to bloat with, had a lot of aches and pains with, had problems with their menstrual cycles, and I thought, well, maybe this is too much of a good thing. You see, because if you can't eat fat, what do you fill up on?
Carbs.
Carbs in the form of cereals and pastas and bread. So this was a little bit of a detox in response to that. And so if you didn't do well with the gluten, which is your wheat, your rye, your barley, and so many of those other grains that are out there, I felt that we should also temper some of the other grains as well.
And then the fats, we were not eating enough fat,
And then the other aspect was that we weren't eating the right kind of fat, so this was an opportunity to eat fat, to lose fat. And so I established 2 tablespoons, a protocol which established 2 tablespoons of flaxseed oil. We've now changed that to a tablespoon, if you'd like, of fish oil, because now we've got great tasting fish oil. And that was important in terms of accessing belly fat. And that was also important in terms of your nerves, your cardiovascular system, and your joints. So we needed essential fatty acids, which we weren't eating back in the 80s, that I incorporated in this diet, which was my antidote to the no to low fat program that was the diet model, you know, when I was coming up in the ranks.
Well, you were in the vanguard there, you know, because we found out that the low fat was not working.
Well, we certainly did in the 90s when we got fat on no fat, and now we're kind of trying to be balanced. But the reality is you need the right kind of carbohydrates, and I think the ones that really are as grain-free as possible, because now we're aware that gluten may be a bad guy, but so we're substituting too much rice. And there is some research to suggest that many of our grains, by the way they're stored, are carriers of mycotoxins. So if there's a fungal situation or mold situation that you need to resolve, you've got to be very careful about what you're putting into your system, because those may be foods that are unwittingly carriers of some of these elements that are toxic to the human body.
So it's the fat flush, so you're using fat to flush, along with the other detoxification
You
protocol.
are, and it's an elimination diet because you're not eating the grains, you're not eating a lot of the starchy carbs initially, and you're drinking your cran water and your lemon water that you and I have spoken about, because that's going to be flushing the liver and the lymphatic system, which no other diet plan has really targeted. I target it because I know how helpful that is to flush out the cellulite.
And that's been very big with your people that follow you, and they've lost the cellulite.
Well, they haven't been able to do it elsewise, and these are major exercise people that have done all sorts of routines and regimens and detoxification and so on and so forth. So it's very helpful when we target it, you know, the way my program does with foods that, like guided missiles, go to different organs and tissues of the body. The liver and the lymph being my 2 favorite.
All right. Thank you.